We're called Friends of the Heart, right? There's a reason for that. The group was actually named by one of the students many years ago when they were just meeting in my house. I said, well, I guess we're going to have a group, because we were offered a charitable charter at that time by a group that was Buddhist but no longer was functioning. And they kindly said, well, we have done all this work to make a charitable charter. Would you like it? So I said, oh, okay, as long as we're independent and not constrained by what it was that particular grouping of people had done. So then the problem came up of what do we call ourselves? We came across Friends of the Heart from one person as being a way to articulate what it was that we were trying to do, what our function was. While you look around you and you see a great deal of sort of Tibetan iconography, because that's part of what we do is teach Tibetan practice, we're not exclusively Tibetan center. You'll hear predominantly Buddhist techniques because they are the most efficient, they're the most scientific, and they're the ones that cause the least belief structure around them. You don't have to a priori believe anything when you practice Buddhist teaching. You only have to have enough silliness or something, gumption, to try them out. And so the Buddha himself, who was the origin of all these different flowerings of types of Buddhism, said, don't believe all things just because they're in a book. Don't believe them because you hear them just from somebody who's famous or important. Don't even believe them, he said, because you hear them from me. He said, put it to the test. So what I say to people is put it through the middle of your heart. If it feels in your heart to be right, then you've got a way to walk that opens every day. So every day becomes a little more of a treasure instead of a little more of a pain. So Friends of the Heart came out of that feeling that we need to be what's called Kalyanamitta. We need to have suitable, supportive friends in order to be able to find a way to leave suffering, agitation, worry, fear behind us, to leave anger, resentment, greed, hatred, delusion aside, to let those go so that we can reach what is considered to be the true human potential, which is a person who's clear, compassionate, kind, present, not artificial, very authentic, if that's not already been grabbed by buzzword people, but truly authentic, being who we are with each other, wishing the best for each other, and trying to help each other walk the path of life. So that's how Friends of the Heart got its name. So I'm delighted to be here. Do you want to shut that off? That's a recording I got in a museum in Santa Fe, I think. I can't remember which museum. I'm really pleased to be back here. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you all so much for coming. It's just a treat to see all these wonderful new faces. And to think that you're interested in taking up practice, meditation practice, to develop yourselves is very special. It is very special. There's an awful lot in the culture that's moving in an opposite direction. And lots of things right now have caused the thing we're going to start with tonight, which is equanimity. They've caused lack of equanimity in the society. So we're going to start a two-part class this week and next week at the same time on this particular teaching called the Divine Abidings. Before I begin, we're going to pause and I'm going to recite a refuge prayer just to bring the envelope of meditation in. If you know it, you're welcome to join. If you don't, simply listen to it as a reflection. I will say a version. Is it only me who's live here? Equanimity does not mean deadness. And there are places where I've seen people who think they're quite spiritually advanced who develop what they call equanimity, and it means nothing's happening. And when people are joyous, it's like, when people are happy, it's, I'm being equanimous. But you watch what happens to them when they get mad. Suddenly there's no equanimity there at all. So don't buy into the idea that if you can become equanimitous, you become dead. The point of awakening is to wake us up, not put us to sleep. But equanimity means to become really present, to craft ways to be just there. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, the point of meditation is to become 100% present for another. When we are actually totally present, it's amazing what we see, what we hear, what we feel, and what we can endure, survive, and allow to unfold naturally. So full equanimity is a full state of deep peace within that eventually you'll be able to touch into within a breath or two. Not only will you be able to then drop in information that has agitated you before, but you'll be able to drop it in and stay open with it. So again, the point is nothing like barricading the self. It is in fact dissolving the self-viewing so that you can be fully open. In that way, you don't close your eyes to suffering, but you don't close your eyes either to healing. So you don't continue to walk a path that is negative and deleterious to your well-being, but nor do you run away when things get tough. So all of that is contained within the teaching of equanimity.